Norma Kipnis Wilson founded the Lion of Juda in 1972. She created an incredible symbol of philanthropy, sisterhood, and legacy for women's leadership. Enjoy Norma's February 26th interview celebrating the Lion of Juda.
Hi, my name's Wendy Abrams from Chicago, and I am the chair of National Women's Philanthropy. I'm also always inspired by the leaders and role models who have made National Women's Philanthropy one of the most successful parts of our system. And I am honored to continue their legacy and to be joined by two of them today. Norma Kipnis Wilson from Miami, founder of the Lion of Juda, and Judy Altenberg from Colorado, immediate past chair of National Women's Philanthropy and chair of this Loge 25 campaign. Today, we will have the opportunity to hear about the Lion legacy and how we can continue it within National Women's Philanthropy. You'll hear about the history and strength of the Lion and the new Lion of Juda endowment campaign, Loge 25. I want to thank both Norma and Judy for their leadership and sharing it with us today. I'm going to start things off with the first question for Norma, and then Judy will take it from there. So Norma, to begin, can you tell us about the founding of the Lion of Juda in Miami by you and Toby Friedland of blessed memory?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Wendy. It's really a pleasure to be here, even though I can see you, I can't see everybody else, but anyhow, it's good to be here, and it's my pleasure. The founding of the Lion was rather serendipitous. To begin with, I had, since the founding of Israel, I had always been a contributor, but I never was active. I was raising 5 children. And so when Marilyn Smith and Joyce Sumberg invited me to a women's luncheon to give $365. I accepted because Elaine Cyrus of blessed memory was the speaker, and she was on the national board and just a wonderful woman. And so I went to the meeting, and it was very interesting, and I realized that $365 for me was not acceptable. And so I became a benefactor at that meeting, which was $1,000. And after that, I went to another meeting. There were 3 women who were significant in my participation to this day. And they're not here anymore, but it was B. Blank and Frances Katzman and Esther Winkle. I thought they were old then. They were probably in their 40s or 50s. I was very young then. And so when there was a meeting at Frances Katzman's house, I went. And before I knew it, I was co-chair of benefactors. I just was enthusiastic, and they needed leadership, and I was it. So that was very exciting. And to move on from there, what happened was Claire Rosen, who was the chair of benefactor, her husband died that night, and all of a sudden I became the chair, besides the sadness of the event. I asked Toby if she would co-chair with me, and she was wonderful. She was a detail person, and I'm not. I'm a very broad brush kind of person. I love to create, I love to think out of the box, but I don't like too much detail. So we were really a good combination. And I said to her, how can we get this campaign up? This was like 1970. I'm not good on dates either. How can we get the campaign up from $325,000 to $1 million campaign? Well, even when I said $1 million, it was shocking. So we said we'd think about it. I got an invitation in the mail from one of the universities in Jerusalem, in Israel, I think in Tel Aviv. And it was a beautiful invitation on parchment, beautiful parchment. And up in the left-hand corner was a lion. Yes, And I was very drawn to it. And so after I disposed of the invitation, I cut out the picture of the lion and put it on my desk. And it stayed there for about 3 months. And every day that I worked at my desk, I saw that little lion. And fast forward, one night I went to sleep and I dreamed of the lion. And this is the truth. The lion became a reality in a night dream. And the lion spoke to me and I spoke to the lion. I really get tears in my eyes when I think about it because it was so exciting. When I woke up the next morning, I said, I know it's something, but I don't know what. And so I called Toby. You know, I had 5 children. She had 3. We had carpool. I said, you want to meet for a bagel and coffee? And we did after we dropped the kids at school. And we talked about the lion and I showed her the picture. And we both were really excited. We could hardly eat our bagel. And so that's when we decided that loosely that we would have a society for women and that we would work on making that a reality. And that's how it started.
I'm sorry, Norma, tell me, what was this like to do it from a women's perspective? You know, you were a pioneer in that.
My dear, it was very difficult. The men felt, not all the men, but many of the men felt very threatened. And they didn't want the power of women, which was dormant at that time, to blossom. And it was a clear sign that something big was going to happen. We never envisioned this, but I mean, something definitely was going to happen. It took over a year to get permission, because I was on the board by virtue of the fact that I was co-chair of the campaign. I couldn't get permission to be heard on the board to present the program. So finally, after about almost a year and a half, I typed up, no computers then, we typed. I typed up the program that I believed would be successful. And before the board meeting started, I waited till everyone was seated. I put my proposal in front of everybody. And when the new business came up, I said, I have some new business I'd like to discuss. And it was the lion. So that was very exciting. We did get permission to go ahead. And we did have our first $1 million campaign. It was slow because it was a new concept and it was a lot of money. I mean, it's a big jump, Wendy, from $1,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, tell me how you got to that number, Norma.
Yes, the number got to us. We didn't get to it. It was a time in Russia that was very difficult for the Jews. And they were starting to come into Israel, but we had to pay for that. And it cost $5,000 for a family of 4 to get in, to take into Israel from Russia. And so I thought, well, this is my marketing tool. Everyone cares about what happens to the Russian Jews, but we've never been asked to do anything. This is what we're going to do. And that's how the $5,000 came to be. And
that's an amazing number, because if you think about it in today's terms, we can't even begin to imagine what it would cost now, correct?
Yeah, it would probably be like $25,000, who knows? But you know, I said to Toby, we all wear beautiful clothes, we drive beautiful cars. You know, why not try? And she agreed, and we were a good combination because we bounced things off one another. And to this day, I miss her, but I'm glad she was such an important part of the Lion.
What do you think, you know, when you think about these numbers too, and how important these numbers were, Talk to us a little bit about what it means to provide something in perpetuity, through Loge.
Yes, but we didn't envision that we'd have almost 18,000 lions. I mean, it's so phenomenal to me that we're in the position that we're in. And, as someone very famous said, it took a village. This idea, I don't want to get political, you see.
We have a lot of women, it's okay.
It was a concept that was so new and represented, I think, to women the feeling that they could be powerful, that they could do something different. The 70s was a time where women were in medical school, they were attorneys, they were in business, they were corporate leaders. We were all coming into our own. And that's what made, I think, the Lion so successful. Mm-hmm. These women were not all stay-at-home moms, which was okay, because I was for a while. Mm-hmm. And they were women who also were women of vision. Mm-hmm. And so they embraced this with great enthusiasm.
And you were one of the first really women philanthropists. They might have been the lawyers and the doctors and in medical school, and you were the one who really, you and Toby really had this vision around philanthropy.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, given that, how does it feel to be part of now what is 17,500 lions in our system? Did you ever kind of envision that it would get, to this? Could you have imagined 45 years ago that?
No, I didn't envision that it would get to this. I don't think anyone could have. But I did envision that it was life-changing. And if it was life-changing for me, it would be life-changing for many other women. Mm-hmm. And for many other men. Because all of a sudden, we really did become a powerful force. I mean, the campaign, I don't have to tell you, the campaign depends upon us to a large extent. And we are important, and we are strong. That's why we're lions, we're strong. And so the whole concept became very exciting, and it kept me not only involved in Jewish philanthropy, but it also taught me to go out into my community. And I've served on different boards, and my life has been philanthropy.
Mm-hmm. And leadership.
In philanthropy.
Yeah.
But you have to be a follower before you're a leader. If you're not a good follower, you're not going to be a good leader. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how you build. You build on not only your experiences, but other people's experiences as well. So yes. I love the role of leadership, and I love my lion. I just had my new diamonds put in it. And
good.
It's a precious, precious piece of jewelry to me. It's more than jewelry.
Well, it's defined your life, right?
It defines my life, and my wonderful children do too. But the lion is different. It's a legacy that we developed really on our own. We became stand-up philanthropists, and we really changed the whole concept of women's giving. Mm-hmm. It's exciting. It's still exciting.
It's very exciting. And I have a question. So, you talk about how it really did change the whole concept of women's giving. And then 20 years later, Mickey started the Lion of Juda endowment, and in your community called a Forever Lion.
That's right. We call it a Forever Lion because endowment is forever. And we couldn't have been where we are today without Mickey Fudernick in many areas. Mm-hmm. So Mickey is one of the smartest people I've ever met and one of the nicest. But anyhow, that's just a personal aside. The anniversary of the founding of the endowment, or the Forever Lion, is now at 25 years. Yeah. And that's what the Lowe's 25 campaign symbolizes. It's very exciting. I don't know how long we're going to speak, but I would like time to close by reading a paragraph of something that I found very important to me. So you'll let me know when.
Okay. Well, tell me first, before we do that, I want you to think about, this concept around endowment. We've talked about a lot about, what it meant to develop this whole idea around the lion, and the fact that we now have 17,500 lions, and this impact that we never kind of envisioned, or that you probably didn't envision when you started this. Yeah. So now you've moved forward, and 20 years later, the concept of endowment came forward, and now it's been 25 years since we started the Lion of Juda endowment. So what does that mean to you personally to be an endowed lion and a forever lion? And what does it mean, do you think, to your communities and other communities who can now count on these gifts from women, for 3,800 women throughout the country forever? And what would you say to kind of encourage that?
Well, first of all, I'm proud of my daughter who became a lion. She's here with me today, and my husband Alan is here with me today.
I'm so glad they're here. Welcome, and I wish we could see you. We can move the computer a little bit.
But they're here, and I'm very pleased that they are. My daughter became an endowed lion 2 years ago, I believe it was, as a surprise for me.
Oh.
And it was a surprise, and I'm very, very proud of that. I think it's important that wherever we started, put aside the fact that I'm the founder, so I feel very strongly about perpetual lions, perpetuity. But besides that, I think wherever you started, even if you start today, we're not people who don't finish. We're people who start and continue. And we continue not to the end, but if you have family, to a new beginning. And if you become a forever lion, it's a new beginning. Because even if we're not here physically, our gift will be an extension of our life, actually, is the way I look at it. And I know I read every year at one of our meetings, I read the list of the dear departed, I call them, the women who died that year and the year before. And many of them now are lions, or were lions and still are. So I think it's very important when you believe in something to not just let it drop and not let it end, but think of it as a new beginning. I think that was very helpful for me when Nikki presented it. I
think you just made our whole case for us, Norma. I think we could finish the call, and I think that the way that you said that was so beautiful, and I will forever think about these words that you've said, and I'd love to hear what your kind of closing thoughts are, unless you want to talk about anything else. I could sit and talk to you for hours. So,
well, it's just about the pleasure of being here. I look forward to everyone who's listening. Come to Hollywood, which is our next door neighbor, next January, and join us so we can all meet, and come up to me and tell me that you heard and watched this. That would be so much fun, because there has to be fun along with things, don't you think?
I think we have to have a lot of fun.
Yes, I do too. Well, I had read The Man Who Planted Trees. It's a French novelist, Jean Giono, and it was translated into English, and then I edited it. He's not here anymore, so I freely edited it.
Prerogative, yes.
Where he had the word human, I transposed the word society. And I want you to see how beautifully his words are. The man who planted trees. Well, I would call it the woman who planted trees, because that's really what we did. In order for the character of a society to reveal truly exceptional qualities, we must have the good fortune to observe its action over a long period of years. If this action is devoid of all selfishness, if it is absolutely certain that it has not sought recompense anyway, and if moreover it has left visible marks on the world, then we are unquestionably dealing with an unforgettable society, end quote. What more can I say? That's really us, isn't it? And the Lion of Juda, to me, exemplifies all of the criteria presented in that paragraph. And I just want to thank you all for inviting me to be a part of your program this morning. And I want to thank Mickey Fudenick from Miami, who started the Forever Lion. And it's just a privilege to be here and to have had the pleasure of being with all of you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Norma.
This is a really tough act to follow. Judy, thank you so much. You're always inspiring to me. And Norma, I think we need to videotape you all the time so we can send you around the country, because truly, you had a vision, you empowered women, you spoke about how important collaboration is, and you just are the most magnificent pillar in our community. And I just feel privileged that we got to hear from you firsthand. And your words touched me and moved me. And I loved when you said, we start and continue, but we don't go to the end. It's a new beginning.